Hi guys, and welcome to another Kitchen Draft Live. In today's video we're gonna be making some salmon with Jersey Royals, and we've got a few other ingredients like green beans and tomatoes, but when we get into it I'm gonna show you what we're doing here. Anyway, we were meant to have a video yesterday. It never happened. I got late at home, I went on holidays, so that's why you've not seen the video yesterday, but we are live today and we are smashing it. We're doing a nice salmon with Jersey Royals. Jersey Royals pretty much in season. Now they've been probably in season for a while, but they're nice, they're fresh. Well, from the bag, but they are definitely the best quality at this point. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get first the Jersey Royals on, which by the way, if you're not familiar with the Jersey Royals, these are some potatoes that obviously grow here on Jersey Island. They are very well known in the UK, obviously in the Channel Islands even more, but are very popular. And the reason why, well, another reason why, apart from their taste, is that they are available very early comparing to other potatoes in other regions. Now, I've got a few more recipes on my channel with Jersey Royals, but I think this is the first one this year that we're doing with Jersey Royals. I'm going to try to take advantage of these till they are, until they are in season. So we're going to do more and more recipes probably with Jersey Royals. Now, first of all, we're going to do a quick wash of them because they look fresh. They are probably freshly dug this morning or a day before. So quick wash in the sink, nothing complicated. And after that, I'm going to put them straight on in a pan and on the heat. Now, one thing to bear in mind, at least whether it matters or not, I'm going to say it. Ideally you want to start with Jersey Royals in cold water. So that's how I do. I mean, probably you can in hot water, nothing probably will happen, but I like to start in cold water. You add a bit of fresh mint. This is as fresh as it gets. It's not that fresh, to be honest, but it's not bad for the purpose of this video and for the purpose of this recipe, because this is only in for the flavor. It's quite dry. It's probably got like 2 weeks already, but the smell is still there and it's going to be fine for what we need. Okay, so let's get first the Jersey Royals. I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'm not sure whatever you're watching, whether you're watching from Romania, from China, from Japan. Here in Jersey is nice weather today. It's absolutely beautiful. Let me know actually where you're watching from. Let me know how the weather is like in the place you're watching from, because that'll be great to know. Now, Jersey Royals, I've got here, how much is in here? Probably 1 kilo of Jersey Royals. These are pretty expensive, to be honest, considering that they are here on the island. I don't want to even think how expensive they are if they are shipped to the UK or even further, but here on the island, I can't remember exactly how much this cost. So 1 kilogram was like 3.5 pounds or something like that, 4 pounds, around this price anyway. Okay, so these go straight into the sink, and then all you have to do, because if they are fresh, they are very easy to wash. So all you have to do, straight into the sink, cold water. So we're gonna get some cold water in here, and all I wanna, you just basically need to move them around. And look, this without much effort, let me show you, because we've got a different angle here now today. Without much effort, they look pretty clean, and that was literally a quick wash into the sink, and that's all you actually need. So quick wash into the sink. If they are not that fresh, or in situations where they get kind of like muddy, it all depends obviously the soil they've been in, then you can use a clean sponge. Just use the coarse part of the sponge and just kind of like use these to get rid of all that dirt, but that's all you need. Clean sponge shouldn't really take you a whole lot. If you're lucky and you get them like nice and fresh the way these are literally clean in a minute, so you don't really need to spend a whole lot to get them clean. Now they're going straight into the pan. So we've got here a bigger pot, and what I'm gonna do, I just want to make sure that they are even sizes, because I've got some of them that are tiny. So there are a few of them that are tiny. I mean, look at these, the difference between them. So one is tiny, the other one is quite big. So what we're gonna do is just kind of like cut these in half or even in quarters. It all depends how big they are, to not necessarily match the ones that are tiny, but to get them slightly smaller. Otherwise, when this is cooked, the others will be mashed potatoes, and when those are cooked, these will probably be only a quarter way through. So now what we want to do is just get these in half or in quarters. It all depends obviously how big they are. You don't want to go too small, because after I find them that they go too watery. Obviously the smaller they are, especially because you need to cut through them. They don't have that protection, that skin. So you don't want to go too small with the potatoes, but just cut them even sizes. Well, obviously as even as you can, because some of them are literally tiny. So you're not going to go that small with the big ones. Now, water, so mint, two leaves straight in. Now, not necessarily 2 leaves. These are 2 whole, I forget my words. Anyway, let's move on. So we're gonna turn these on. And once we have these on, we can put a lid on, and salt first actually. Very important, get quite a bit of salt. So for the potatoes I've got and the water I've added, which is probably about, I don't even know, 2 liters, let's say, less, 1.5. I'm gonna add about 1 tablespoon of salt. I know it looks a lot, but I'm not gonna do much seasoning after that with salt. I'd rather have them now cook all the way through with quite a bit of salt. And potatoes, after, even if you add a bit more salt, they don't necessarily, well, they absorb quite a bit, but considering that we've got quite a few here, we should be fine. So we've got the salmon straight from the package. I mean, I didn't even have the time to do anything else because I just went to the shop, bought what we needed for today's recipe. We've got 2 slices of salmon here, 2 portions, that should do the job. And we also have, as I said, we've got some green beans. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but they are here. We have tomatoes, perfect tomatoes, nice, and you can tell when the tomatoes are right when you smell them. And if you know that tomato smell, they should smell like tomatoes. Some of them, they don't even smell like anything. So you don't necessarily have to know the smell of tomatoes, but if they don't smell like anything, then there's something wrong with them. And they are probably either they are not in season and they've been grown in some really weird places, or I don't even know, with really weird methods of growing. I've got some butter. I don't need a whole lot, but we'll add some. Well, we actually kind of need, because we want to add some with the salmon when we cook the salmon, and we're gonna need some for the Jersey Royals, which you have a few options to, depending on how you want to cook them. You can either cook them, crush Jersey Royals, or just leave them whole potatoes, a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, chives. Now we're gonna crush them, crush Jersey Royals. I don't know, I just like them more like that, but it doesn't really, it's not wrong or right either method. Right then. So with the potatoes going, now what I want to do, I want to secure this board, just make sure that it's not going all over the place. I'm going to turn this oven as well, because I want to roast these tomatoes. So let me get the scissors so I don't break them apart, because I don't want to do that. The idea is to keep them as whole as possible. So this will help with the presentation as well. So let me show you what I've got here. So I'm gonna keep them on the vine. So I've got, let's say, 5-6 tomatoes on each vine, and this will go on top of the salmon. They'll look beautiful after that. So think about the presentation as well, although we're not going over the top, but that's something to bear in mind. Plus, tomatoes work well. We don't just add them there just to be. They're gonna taste absolutely fine, and actually I would say even perfect, but then it's totally up to you whether you like tomatoes with your fish or not. But I think roast tomatoes, they work really well, whether you use them with steak or with fish, they are good, especially during this time we start getting more better and better tomatoes, which is great because we've been waiting for so long, eating crap tomatoes for months and months, especially during winter time. That's why I didn't really do a whole lot of recipes with tomatoes, because they're not that great. During that time, you probably want to... Yeah, here is my friend Tim. Nice to see you, Tim. Oh, great to see you again. Yeah, well, we go another angle. This was meant to be here, right up here, but because most of my gear is at work, I had to improvise, which, to be honest, I kind of like this. I wish I had another camera, probably buy another camera at some point. Not soon, but at some point. So we're gonna get another camera and just have one above and one here. It just feels a lot better, you know, communicating here with you this way. Now, as I said, tomatoes are here. Don't really worry much about these till the end, because all I'm gonna do with these is just get them into the hot oven, a bit of extra virgin olive oil or even normal oil, salt, pepper. In the oven they go probably like 3-4 minutes. All we want them to kind of like be blistering, just to blister those that skin, and that's all it is. We still want to have some sort of texture. You don't want to cook them all the way through. So that's the whole idea. We're going to get them into the oven later on. Now with the green beans. So with the green beans, all we need to do, just get obviously as many as you feel like you want to eat. So I'm just gonna trim the edges because they're already trimmed. They came like this already trimmed, but the idea is that they kind of dry at the edges, so I don't want that. I want to have perfect green beans, and not necessarily the shape, because I'm not that worried. For home cooking, I'm not necessarily worried about the shape that much. So just don't go too crazy. Just basically get a tiny part of the edges. So one side it should be fine, because so we've got two sides. So that's the one we trimmed. I'm not sure how much you can see. And these, they don't bother me at all. See these tiny bits here? I don't even know how they're called, but those don't bother me at all. If you feel like you want to trim that part as well, then just get rid of it. It doesn't bother me at all. The other part is a bit more, I don't know, stringy and tough. Right then, so we've got the green beans. What I'm going to do with these, I'm probably going to keep some of that water, or even probably adding towards the end in there, because I'm not going to use all the potatoes for 2 portions, but I cook them all. I'm going to use them probably tomorrow. They stay very well in the fridge. I just get them out, probably get them quickly on the heat, or even in the microwave if I'm feeling really lazy. I don't really use microwave a whole lot, but situation when you're lazy, then it works well. So now, while this is boiling, which from when it starts, it shouldn't really take long to come to boil. You see, it's already, because I'm using induction, so induction is pretty fast. So from when it starts boiling, I would say probably like 15 minutes, around that time. 12-15 minutes. I'm going to check them later on. See how, yeah, they already start boiling. So is 14 past 7, at least 14 past 7 here in Jersey. Depending on where you're watching from, it might be a different time. But the idea is we're going to leave this for about 15 minutes from now. So give them another 15 minutes. You give me a shout if I forget. Probably I should put a timer, because I always forget stuff. So let's say now 14 minutes, because it's been a minute just for the time we talk. So 14 minutes, timer starts now. We'll see. That should do the job, and probably it's going to be even too much, but I'm going to probably check halfway through just to make sure that we don't go all over the place. Now, let's move on to the salmon. This recipe doesn't need to be with salmon. Obviously, you can use whatever you like. Salmon is just an option. My wife suggested to do salmon, but it works very well with sea bass, which I still have some in the freezer, which I should probably do with sea bass because I like it more. Plus, it's local. This is farmed. It's not that great. It's not bad, but it's not that great. So, salmon there. this comes with the skin on. I think it comes with the skin on. And what the problem with this is, let me actually show you, is got scales, fish scales. So what we're gonna do to make it nice and easy, we're not gonna trim we're not gonna get rid of the fish scales. Not today. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna remove the skin, because, if you like the skin, obviously, which I do sometimes, because it gets nice and crispy, it's good. But when I get it like this, it's kind of difficult to get rid of fish scales. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna leave it like this, remove the skin. Next time, probably when we buy a bigger chunk of fish, we're gonna keep the skin on, because it's just an easier process to follow. Now, let me show you one thing here. So, I know I like the skin to stay on, but it's too much of a hassle to get rid of like every single bit. Plus, it's a small piece of salmon. If you get like a whole fish, then it's easier to clean it and do it yourself. But when it comes like this, it's too much of a hassle. I'll just remove it. Now, the idea is, when you remove the skin, you want to make sure that you keep. Okay, let's one sec. Yeah, my wife is hungry. Very good, very good. Of course. So when you remove the skin, you want to make sure that your knife, even if you do it for bigger fillet, this is a tiny fillet, obviously, it's kind of like a weird situation that we're having here, but usually you have like a whole fillet of fish, and then what you do, you want to keep your knife slightly in angle, like this. So I don't know exactly the angle, but so once you make the incision, once you get till here, you grab the skin, and then all you have to do, keep the knife firm, and then pretty much all you have to do is just basically pull it, and then it goes nice and clean without removing any flesh. Well, it will probably remove a bit of flesh, but not a whole lot, because you want to make sure that the skins gets very, very well separated, and you have a nice fish fillet on one side and only the skin on the other. And by the way, even after, you could potentially use this skin, just get it into the oven, and it will get nice and crispy. You could use it that way, but now for this situation, we're gonna get rid of it just because we are too lazy to clean it. So as you can see, look, all you have to do is just nice and clean. Obviously, it's easier in this situation because all we have is just a tiny fish, but the process is pretty much the same even if you were to work with a bigger fish. Small incision. And obviously this is not the perfect knife for the job, but we're adapting to any situation. Nice and clean skin. This will go into the bin. Sorry for those people that prefer the skin on. I do as well, but in this situation, it's not the best situation. Quick washing of hands, and then we're gonna put this. We're not gonna start with the salmon just yet, because first I want to make sure that the potatoes are in a good place. So when we get closer to the time that are ready, then probably we're going to start with the salmon, because this doesn't really take long. We could do it first in a pan and after in the oven, but these are kind of tiny fillets. We could cook it all the way through in the pan if we want to. It all depends what exactly you want to do and how lazy you're feeling, because if you put it into the tray, put a bit of olive oil or even normal oil, salt, pepper, you can get it straight into the oven and kind of forget about it for about 10 minutes or so, depending on how thick it is. But the idea is that if let's say you want to go with a bit extra flavor, which I think in this situation that's what we're going to try to achieve, you can basically, what you can do, let me see here what's going on. Okay, what you can do, you can cook it all the way through in the pan, put a bit of butter. We're going to add a sprig of thyme, same as we've done here. We've added 2 stems of mint, because we want to add some extra flavor to the potatoes. And by the way, just because let's say you live in a different region and you don't have access to Jersey Royals, it doesn't mean that you cannot follow this recipe with normal potatoes or normal new potatoes, because that's what Jersey Royals are, basically. Jersey new potatoes, that's what they are. So if you are from a different place and feel like, what's this guy talking about with his new potatoes, you can definitely use normal new potatoes or even normal potatoes to do this recipe. Happy days. Okay, so we've got quite a few things here going on. Now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move the potatoes on that side because these can cook here. I've got another induction here. We're gonna leave them cook here, nice and easy. And I'm thinking about starting the, let's see how much time we're gonna start with the salmon in a minute. That's why I wanna make sure that I've got enough space. I should have started kind of differently, do the chives as well, because I wanna add some chives. If I'm making the crushed potatoes, which we're gonna be doing in a minute, or even if you're using normal potatoes, I like adding some fresh chives at the end. So you could do it that way. If you don't like chives, then I don't know, parsley is another option. But chives are kind of mild. You can definitely get a few chives in there, and they don't really have that, the onion flavor, it's pretty mild. So get a few chives in there. It looks nice. It tastes nice as well because they bring a light onion flavor to the dish. So that's an idea what you can do. If you want a touch of like lemon zest, that's another good addition, but we're gonna be adding lemon to the salmon, so you don't really need to add that. So now let's find out. Okay, this is boiling too crazy. Gonna reduce this slightly. And then let's actually try this, see how they... Yeah, I think those 15 minutes will be needed, the whole 15 minutes. We've got another 6 minutes to go, and I think after those 6 minutes, they will be ready. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to get the green beans actually in a separate plate, in a separate pan. So let's get the green beans in here. If I get them on induction, it shouldn't really take a whole lot. Plus, I don't need too much water. It's just a touch of water. Because if I add them with the potatoes, then they're gonna go all over the place. They're gonna go all over the place, and it's gonna hard to separate. It's gonna get hard to separate the potatoes from the beans, and you don't get in that situation. You could save the water and add it after that and get it a bit more complicated, but let's just put a bit of water with about half teaspoon of salt for the green beans separately. All we need to cook this is about 3 minutes max. 2 minutes probably to 3 minutes is all we need. So we're gonna get them about 2-3 minutes. So while that is cooking, what we want to do is get a pan here for the salmon. Now, before you start cooking the salmon, you want to make sure that you've got everything you need for these before you start cooking, because this doesn't take a whole lot, and I need a bit of thyme, a few sprigs of thyme. I'm pretty sure I've got some in here somewhere. Oh, I got them. Perfect. Okay, a few sprigs of thyme, 2 sprigs of thyme, something like that should do the job. Okay, 2 sprigs of thyme, and this is going back into the freezer. Right, and we have the butter, which we're not going to start with the butter. Let me, because I don't even know which camera I'm... Okay, so we're not going to start with the butter, but we're going to add the butter towards the end, because you don't want the butter to burn. So the idea is you start with normal oil, because this has got like a high heat resistance. So we start with normal, I don't even know which kind of veg oil, whether it's sunflower, whether it's rapeseed oil. I think this is rapeseed oil. I started using more and more rapeseed oil because I find it to be slightly more mild to taste. I grew up with sunflower oil because in Romania sunflower oil is the most popular, but I think rapeseed oil is actually my favorite at this point. Okay, this is boiling, is going all over the place. So reducing the heat and just drop this in there for 2 minutes. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna need more. bear in mind that when you take them off the heat, they continue cooking. So that's something you always have to bear in mind. When you're taking vegetables off the heat, meat off the heat, whatever you're taking off the heat, they continue cooking for a while. Only if you, let's say, you get them straight into icy water, then you're probably gonna stop that cooking rapidly. Otherwise, they continue cooking. We're not gonna do that with the green beans. We keep them in the, we remove them from the water and just leave them kind of like that, because we're gonna cook them soon. We're gonna just get them quickly into the butter. So that's all we do. Now, moving on. So what we wanna do now, let's get everything, well, let's get the salmon into the pan. First, salt, pepper. I've got here some freshly grounded black pepper. Although it looks like I'm adding a lot, I'm actually not, because this pepper meal is almost gone. So black pepper in there, and then some rock salt. You don't necessarily have to use this, you can go with normal salt easily, but just this feels, how I like to say, a bit more romantic. Now, we need to bring this to the heat. I'm talking like to get it pretty hot, and only after that to add the salmon, because we want to sear that skin. So we want to sear the skin on both sides, well, kind of like 4 sides. But if you get it on both sides, that's fine, basically the flattest surface. And then once you get that one, it's not that far from being done. Because as I said, bear in mind, this continues cooking after that, especially if you don't serve it exactly after that. Plus, it's good to give you a bit of a rest. Once you cook it, give you a bit of a rest. Same as you would do with a steak, do the same with the salmon. How are we doing today, guys? Let me know. Give this a like, give this a share. If you are first time in the stream, maybe consider subscribing, because we are doing cooking every single week. Well, we kind of missed it yesterday, you can say last week, but we are here on Monday. A day later, better later than never, but we are still going live whenever possible. Plus, we are doing recorded recipes, although it's a combination between these two, this channel now. Okay, so green beans, probably 2-3 minutes. I can't even remember how long, but they are definitely done, because we're gonna cook them more into with butter. We're gonna toss them in butter later on, so that's fine. Okay, potatoes are done. Let's see how far we are on the timer. Literally 10, 9, 8, 7. Great timing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, remove these off the heat. Okay, remove these off the heat and leave them here in the colander to, they are continue cooking slowly, not at a fast pace, but they still cooking, because obviously they are still piping hot. And this pan, it's already really hot. And the salmon goes in. Boom. It's a bit of multitasking, but you don't necessarily have to do it this way. You can cook the potatoes first, make sure you get them out of the way, and after that you can move on to the next one, and so on. You don't necessarily have to do it the way I do it. And plus, you don't necessarily have to talk that much, because that will help with the cooking. No, I've not got the potatoes from Charlie, because he would kill me if I get his potatoes. Yeah, Charlie's one of our colleagues from work. He planted Jersey Royals around the building where we work. And then I'm not entirely sure what's the situation. You probably need to ask him. We might need to collaborate here. Probably need to collaborate with Charlie. He gives me potatoes and I give him something else. I need to figure out what, but... Right, so this is getting nice and crispy, but not extremely crispy, because remember we removed the skin, so this is not going to get extremely crispy, but you're still going to be great. So let's get ready the butter. We need about 10 grams of butter or so. And on this corner, although I shouldn't really use the same board, on this corner we're gonna chop a bit of chives. We'll be fine. They go straight on the cooked potatoes. I'm not that worried about that. Okay, turning this. Now you can't really see a whole lot, but yeah, Charlie's what a guy. He's got the potatoes ready, that's for sure. Well, I hope so, because he's looking after them every single day. So hopefully he's got them sorted. Now let me tell you something. We're turning off the oven. I've got a better idea. We're gonna cook the tomatoes into the pan. And like this, you don't have to turn on the oven, you don't have to waste any electricity like I did. So we're gonna cook them. You know, I change my mind 100 times a day. So that's fine. That's why I say, you know, don't necessarily follow my recipes. Because whatever I'm cooking today, it's not gonna be the same like tomorrow. If you're asking me today, it's not gonna be the same answer like tomorrow in 80% of the situation. So you kind of look what I'm doing, check what I'm doing here, but after that make your own mind, because it just works better. It just works better for probably both of us. Okay, so this is actually not that far, because as I said, it cooks pretty fast. So I'm adding the tomatoes. Tomatoes are going in. All we need is just kind of like blistering these tomatoes. And that should be it. I'm adding the thyme straight in. And then after that, I've got the butter here, which is gonna go in a minute. Also, what I wanna do, lemon. Just like an edge of lemon. This is gonna go into it's going straight in here, but that's at the end. So first you add the butter, and in order to kind of cool down the pan, and obviously for the flavor, because you're not adding the lemon just for that, you add some lemon juice in there. You can go with zest as well if you want to, but we're not gonna go that hard with lemon. So that should do the job. Okay. At the end, to make it easier, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove the salmon, just put it on the side on the plate or something like that to let it kind of rest for a bit, and remove the tomatoes. And what we're gonna do in the same pan, I'm gonna get the green beans in there. I'm gonna show you the tomatoes in a minute. They look beautiful. I mean, literally how easy it is to cook tomatoes like this is unbelievable, and how tasty they are. That's a different story. Okay. Not sure how much you can see, but look. Nice blister, they go a nice blister on the outside, and that's all you need. They're tiny, they don't need much cooking. Salmon, one of them it's almost falling apart. Well, I managed to break it, perfect. And now, butter. So butter goes straight in. And then, let me show you what's going on here. Turn off the heat. Now you don't need any more heat. And take a spoon. All we're gonna do, we're gonna baste this salmon. Get all this flavor. Okay, all the flavor packed in there into the salmon. We've got the butter, which is kind of caramelizing slightly. We've got the thyme, and also the lemon. Perfect. Now we take these on the side. So we're gonna take these with the tomatoes. Yeah, this is the salmon that I broke in half. Well, no problems. Okay, now in here, I'm gonna get the green beans. Just basically bring that heat up, and I'm gonna get them right after out of the heat. Oh, team. Where the? Okay, I need the plates. Okay, green beans quickly, just kind of like give them a bit of that butter. Perfect. Now what I want to do, let's put some potatoes on the heat. Half of the amount should do the job. We don't necessarily need more than that. Okay, green beans on the side, let them stay there for a bit. Don't worry if it's too much butter, because there's obviously too much butter in there. But the idea is that we're gonna use that butter as a sauce at the end. So we're gonna use that butter, don't worry. It is a bit too much at this point, but because it's with lemon, with thyme, it's gonna be perfect as a sauce. You can add some capers if you want to. If you want a few capers, you can go with that. It's not necessarily. So about 10-15 grams of butter go straight into the pan with the actual potatoes. And now fork and just crush them. Reduce the heat slightly. Salt, pepper, not a whole lot of salt, because if you remember well, we added quite a bit earlier. So freshly grounded black pepper, a good pinch of that. And no more than a good pinch of salt. They should do the job, because we added quite a bit of salt earlier. And you don't want to mash them, you just want to crush the potatoes, and so you still have some sort of texture in there. Right, that looks good. So what I want to do now, few chives. Okay, few chives, getting them straight in. As I said, the potatoes will look better, plus on top of that they will taste better, because they bring some light onion flavor to your garnish. Okay, so that's done. Let's put this on the side. Now what I want to do, let's start plating. And that oil that I was talking about is gonna be our sauce. It's not a whole lot, we want just add a bit. We're not gonna go crazy. Okay, this is off. That can stay there. Now for plating, I'm gonna go very simple. You can have probably I should use different plates. I'm just gonna do one with you so you know what's going on here. So first we're going in potatoes. Depending obviously how many potatoes you want. Let's make some space here. It's getting too crowded. Sauce, basically the butter in combination with the beans. So after that, we're gonna get the beans on. I'm just gonna kind of like bring the heat on those beans, get them nice and warm. They're already warm, so they don't necessarily need a whole lot. I want to put these into a different plate because I should have added everything on a bigger plate right from the beginning where the salmon is and everything else, but what can you do? Okay, so beans. Salmon. And tomatoes. And now 1-2 tablespoons of butter. And my friends, let me show you. I know I've been pretty messy today, but trust me, this is still delicious. And if you want a wedge of lemon, you could definitely add that. But let me show you what's going on here. This is what we've got, what we ended up with. Nice, easy, delicious. I'm pretty sure you can do this. You can smash this if you want to, as you will smash that like and subscribe button. I'm pretty sure you will. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here with me. You could have done many other things, not just not watching me, but I appreciate that you've been here with me in this live. Now, I will see you on Sunday. It might be a live stream, it might be a recipe. Thank you for watching. Make sure you give this a like and a share if you want to, or a subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and I will see you in the next one. That was Kitchen Draft for today. Bye, bye, bye.